soul, to Nocturne Lore breathe. With me now, let the weight of the day fall from your shoulders. You are safe here in the quiet between heartbeats. Tonight we drift together into the deep past. I often wonder where in this broken galaxy you listen from the spot, Necromunda, or worlds far beyond if you wish. Leave a word in the comments below. Say your city, your world, your corner of the night. I will read them all. And know you are not alone in the darkness. Close your eyes now. The story begins. The stars were gentle, then not yet hard or cold, filling softly across worlds. Unscarred by war, one walked among brothers whose laughter had the warmth of sunlight on stone. And the hope we held was not yet fragile. Mortarion moved ahead of us, slow and deliberate. A presence both comforting and distant, is gentle, breathed with decay. Sleep now, while the spores drift. We sailed upon voided seas, aboard a vessel humming with quiet life. The metal beneath our boots pulsing softly, like a heartbeat in tune with the galaxy through observation ports. Distant suns bathed planets in liquid gold. River light spilling over forests, plains, and cities that had yet to taste ruin. The soft patter of rain against hulls echoed faintly in the corridors, a rhythm older than memory itself, carrying both comfort and melancholy. In the garden aboard the ship, spores clung to every petal and moved among them with the patience of centuries. The faint glow of dying braziers traced long shadows along the walls, casting shapes that seemed to breathe and watch silently. The soft rustle of ancient parchment, kept in sealed chambers for knowledge long forgotten. The slow decay of all things. Feel the weight. Think your chest now. Think your breath match mom. You are shooting worlds unfolded beneath us. Oceans and forests, glimmering under the soft touch of starlight. Each spore, laden breeze we encountered, strange comfort. A lullaby for the soul that has seen too much and yet persists. Mortarion's voice, low and steady, guided us through halls lined with silent statues, their stone eyes gazing upon what was to come. Even in that tide, it seeped through cracks, pooling beneath doors, thickening the air with a quiet sorrow, a promise of what all beauty must eventually meet. We did not rush, did not resist, for there is a rhythm to decay, a cadence that, if followed, brings rest, rather sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind. Ash drifted like snow across planets as we passed, settling gently upon plains, ruins, and fields of gold. Distant bells tolled across corridors, hollow and eternal, marking hours that seemed to stretch beyond the counting of time. The glow of the brazier softened in response, shadows melting into one another, carrying us slowly through memory. An observation. The rot is gentle. Breathe with decay. Sleep now while the spores drift. I recall the first time I walked into the library aboard the world ship. Shelves lined with fragile tomes bent under their own histories. Pages trembling at the faintest breath, their knowledge whispering across centuries. Mortarion stood at the threshold, silent yet present, a guide through the quiet labyrinth of remembrance. Feel the weight leave your chest. Your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting. Outside, the stars rotated slowly over worlds, untouched by war ash swirled around towers, forests, and silent oceans. A gentle cascade that reminded us of time's impermanence. The air tasted soothing, that it lulled the heart into stillness. I moved along corridors, lined with statues of brothers, figures frozen mid-action, their eyes capturing both devotion and sorrow. A soft wind carried spores across the decks, and the distant hum of engines would not awaken to war. Every step, every breath, every soft exhale reminded us of the patience of decay, the inevitability of time, and the comfort of quiet observation. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind, and so memory of golden skies and the scent of growth. Let your body sink into the mattress of night. Feel the air thick with spores, carrying a melody older than any song, slower than any thought, and as infinite as the void itself. Mortarion's gaze lingers on horizon, truth and remembrance, guiding your breath, easing your mind into sleep. The corridors stretched before us like the spine of an ancient world, cold metal, smooth beneath fingertips, silent except for the soft exhalation of air from hidden vents. Each footstep was measured, careful, like a heartbeat in rhythm with the stars above, pulsing softly through the hall. Mortarion walked ahead, tall in silence, a shadow among shadows, his presence a gentle weight, not heavy, but enduring. Outside, planets rolled slowly beneath the void, oceans mirrored the dying light of suns, and distant storms whispered across their surfaces. The golden skies of youth seemed distant now, fragile memories, their warmth folded into the quiet hum of machinery and the slow drift of spores. I watched my breath mingle with the air, fogging the polished glass of observation ports. This quiet decay, feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting. There was a chamber where the spores thickened, flowing like mist over the floor, settling gently on our boots and the armor of brothers who had already begun their transfer. Mortarion's hand hovered over each surface, feeling the silent pulse of the vessel, the rhythm of spores drifting in gentle waves. A distant rain tapped softly on metal, each droplet a lullaby, carrying with it memories of distant worlds and the weight of centuries. Decay. Sleep now, while the spores drift. We pass through halls lined with murals, painted by hands long gone, each depicting the beginnings of what we were to become. A brotherhood bound by patience, by decay, by inevitability. The figures gazed from stone and pigment, solemn, aware of the end that awaited all beauty and life. Mortarion paused beneath one such mural, letting the light of the dying braziers kiss the lines of his face, and I felt the echo of his patience in my bones. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. The lower decks, the air was warmer, thick with spores and the faint scent of ancient incense used to mark rites and departures. The plague marines moved silently among us, their forms both familiar and strange, armor mottled with the early signs of the slow decay that would come to define them. I traced the symbols etched into their armor, each mark a promise of endurance, a vow to endure beyond the reach of time. On one world we passed, a forest stretched endlessly beneath a sky the color of melted gold. The trees leaned gently toward each other, leaves heavy with spores, drifting softly down to settle on the mossy ground. Mortarion walked among them, his cloak brushing the undergrowth, and even the wind seemed to pause to witness his passage. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting. The library. Aboard the vessel of fragile tomes leaning toward each other, pages whispering as if eager to tell their secrets to anyone who would listen. I ran my fingers over covers, etched with centuries of devotion, knowledge folded into dust and quiet sorrow, the words carrying the faint scent of time. On one particular volume, unreadable in their depth, and I felt the slow pulse of eternity. In that silent gesture we moved on, through corridors where the shadows clung like water, stretching and breathing with our passage. The distant tolling of bells marked time, not by hours or days, but by the quiet passage of thought, of memory, of sorrow, and patience intertwined every spore. Laden breath we drew seemed to harmonize with the soft rhythm of our hearts, a meditation on decay and endurance. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Volcanic ash. We found the quiet beauty of persistence. The ground was blackened, yet spores drifted like gentle snow, finding cracks, settling into crevices, carrying with them the promise of growth. In places that seemed barren, Mortarion moved slowly, his hand brushing the ash as if reading its story, his gaze both distant and near, as if seeing both past and future at once. The rot is gentle, breathe with decay. Sleep now while the spores drift. There was a silent chamber where the air shimmered with faint green light, the bioluminescent spores floating in lazy spirals. We paused there, letting the quiet seep into our bones, the hum of the ship fading into the background, leaving only the soft exhalation of breath and the gentle drift of decay. The plague marines stood nearby, still and patient, their armor catching the faint glow. Shadows merging with shadows, presence and absence. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting. I remember the sea on worlds untouched by war, its surface calm, reflecting suns, whispers of time, of memory, of endings and beginnings. Entwined, Mortarion's figure mirrored in the water, a guardian of quiet decay. His presence both a comfort and a warning to those who watched. Ash fell gently from plains, a reminder of the passage of all things. The soft rustle of ancient parchment called to me, carrying the knowledge of what was, what could have been, and what would endure. Every exhale, every heartbeat, every step through the corridors of memory reminded me of patience, of decay, and the gentle comfort it brings. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind. We passed through halls, lined with statues of brothers, frozen in time, their eyes soft, aware, watching over us as we pause across decks and chambers, soft as feathers, thickening the air in a way that drew the mind inward, coaxing thought to slow, coaxing the heart to rest. Mortarion's gaze lingered on the horizon of each world, a sentinel, not of battle, but of quiet endurance. Drift of life and decay intertwined, and so we drifted further, deeper into the quiet, through worlds bathed in ash, corridors alive with memory, and the slow, patient exhalation of a galaxy that remembered us. I guided your breath as seas, letting the rhythm of decay and endurance settle into your mind, pulling it gently into sleep. The spores continued to drift, carrying the scent of endings and beginnings, of patience and quiet sorrow, a melody older than any voice, deeper than any thought. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting. Drifting, the air grew thick. As we descended to lower decks, where the light from distant suns barely reached, filtered through layers of dust and spores that clung like fine silk to every surface, Mortarion moved. Slowly ahead, traces of green luminescence from spores, drifting in lazy spirals above the floors. The plague marines followed in silence, their presence calm, patient, each step measured, each exhalation a quiet echo in the stillness of the corridors. The rot is gentle. Breathe. Spores drift. I remembered the gardens once more, the fragile petals of strange alien flowers, bent beneath the weight of the spores, yet thriving in the quiet of decay. Mortarion brushed his gauntleted hand over the leaves, feeling the subtle pulse of life beneath the surface, the quiet endurance of nature amidst the inevitability of corruption. The distant tolling of bells reached us even here, faint and hollow, marking not ours, but the slow passage of thought, of reflection, of patience. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. Lined with ancient tomes, I traced glyphs that told of worlds and wars, of oaths made and broken, of brotherhood and betrayal. Each page whispered as if alive, the rustle of parchment merging with the hum of the ship and the soft descent of spores through the air. Mortarion's gaze, in particular, unreadable yet profound, as if holding the memory of an entire world within its fragile fibers. We drifted into a hall where statues of long-departed warriors gazed down upon us, their eyes carved in patience, their forms poised, spores on the stone, settling in patterns that traced the passage of light and shadow across the walls. The soft patter of rain upon the hull outside mingled with the low hum of engines, creating a cadence that matched the slowing of breath, the gentle drift of thought. The night remembers, sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind on worlds, scarred by the slow touch of decay. I saw forests where leaves had turned black at the edges, yet spores drifted softly, bringing new life in ways imperceptible to hurried eyes. Mortarion moved, rot and growth, a meditation on inevitability, on patience, on endurance. I inhaled slowly, letting the scent of spores and damp earth settle deep into my lungs, feeling the weight of centuries press gently, not oppressively, upon my mind. In one chamber, faint green luminescence illuminated the air, revealing particles drifting like tiny stars suspended in still water. I paused to observe them, tracing their motion with my gaze, letting each slow swirl of decay become a meditation, a rhythm to match my heartbeat. The plague marines remained motionless, their forms echoing patience, endurance, and the quiet acceptance of what time and disease would bring. Feel the weight. Leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting. Drifting. The memory of seas on distant worlds persisted in my mind, smooth and calm, reflecting suns and stars in gentle across the waters, finding crevices in rocks and the calm currents of rivers, settling in quiet celebration of the balance between life and decay. Mortarion's reflection shimmered in the surface, his form both guardian and observer, a presence that measured it. Rot is gentle, breathe with decay, sleep now while the spores drift. I remember corridors lined with statues of brothers, frozen mid-motion, eyes calm, aware, carrying the wisdom of unending patience. The gentle exhalation of the ship mingled with the rustle of spores, the air in a way that coaxed thought to slow, heart to rest. Every gesture, every pause, every quiet breath reminded me of the harmony of decay, the rhythm of endings, the comfort of patience. The night remembers, the galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind in a garden long abandoned. The petals of strange alien blooms were coated in a fine sheen of spores. Bending and swaying in silence, Mortarion traced the contours of each leaf, observing the slow transformation from life to decay. A gentle lesson in endurance, a hymn to inevitability. I felt the quiet settling around me. Soft embrace of air heavy with spores, the distant tapping of rain against the observation ports, a lullaby older than memory. We moved into a chamber where the light barely reached, the walls lined with glyphs and murals depicting brotherhood, sacrifice, and patient endurance. Each line of pigment told of what would come, what could not be avoided, what persisted beyond the reach of time. Mortarion's hand hovered over the images, not touching, merely sensing, absorbing the quiet wisdom of patience and slow transformation. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting on worlds cloaked in ash and soft green spores. I watched as life clung stubbornly to rocks, to soil, to the tiniest crevices. Mortarion walked among the remnants, his presence a meditation, a slow rhythm that guided both thought and breath toward serenity. The distant hum of engines, the gentle rustle of parchment, the drifting of spores, all combined to create a lullaby, a soft chorus to carry the mind into rest. We passed through silent halls where figures long gone seemed to linger, etched into stone, preserved in the quiet patience of memory. Lightly on each surface, a reminder that even endings, beauty remains, if one has the patience to observe. Mortarion's figure faded into the distance, yet his vigilance lingered, a quiet assurance that even in decay, there is purpose, rhythm, and quiet comfort. Sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night, his kind ash continued to drift over worlds and corridors alike, soft as feathers, whispering against the skin and armor, wrapping around thought and breath, the hum of the vessel, the gentle exhalations of the plague marine air, all merged into a meditation on endurance, patience, and quiet reflection. I followed Mortarion's path, letting each step, each slow breath, each gentle exhalation guide my mind deeper into the soft embrace of sleep. The rot is gentle. Breathe with the quiet. I remembered all the worlds we had passed, all the gardens, all the libraries, all the forests and seas touched by the slow hand of decay. Every movement, every breath, every drifting spore was part of a larger rhythm, a meditation on inevitability, quiet music of the universe. Mortarion's gaze remained steady, his presence a lullaby to those who wandered through memory. And quiet decay, feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting. Fall of ash, the drift of spores, and the gentle exhalation of life, guiding the mind. Further, Mortarion remained ahead, silent sentinel, patient observer, carrying both the sorrow and beauty of inevitability. The corridors stretched like rivers of shadow, metal polished yet softened by the quiet drift of spores settling upon every surface. Mortarion moved ahead, deliberate, as though each step measured the pulse of the galaxy itself. The plague marines followed silently, their armor mottled with the beginnings of decay, yet somehow beautiful in its inevitability. The rot is gentle. Breathe with decay. Sleep now while the spores drift outside. Worlds passed beneath the void. Oceans glimmering faintly beneath dim suns. Forests swaying in unseen winds. The golden sky folded away into the quiet hum of engines and the slow exhalation of the vessel's breath. Each inhalation brought the scent of spores and distant rain settling in the lungs like a lullaby, soft and unhurried. Feel the weight leave your chest. Now, let your breath match mine. Drifting on one world, a field of flowers bent beneath the weight of spores. Petals coated in gentle decay, yet vibrant in subtle ways. Mortarion's hand hovered above them, not touching, merely sensing the quiet pulse of life, persisting amidst inevitable transformation. The distant tolling of bell echoed faintly across the corridors, marking the rhythm of patience, of reflection, of quiet acceptance. In the library of a vessel, long forgotten, tomes leaned against each other, pages whispering secrets of worlds and wars, of oaths made and broken. I traced of centuries fold into the air. Soft as falling ash, Mortarion paused at one shelf, his gaze lingering on a volume that seemed to hum with quiet knowledge, a relic of patience and endurance. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind through holes lined with statues of long departed warriors. We move silently, shadows stretching across the walls, merging with the dim glow of green spores. Each figure bore the serenity of acceptance, the calm of knowing that all things, no matter how great, must yield to the slow passage of time. The soft ancient parchment and the faint drip of rain upon hulls created a rhythm, a gentle cadence to guide the mind toward rest on worlds touched by ash and decay. I watched spores drift across ruined plains, settling in slow, deliberate balance of life and entropy. The beauty inherent in slow transformation. I inhaled the air thick with spores, feeling centuries fold gently into the present, my body relaxing as thought slowed, heartbeats matching the cadence of quiet decay. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting. In one chamber, faint green luminescence, revealed spores drifting in soft spirals, light catching on each particle, like stars suspended in the air. The plague marines stood motionless, their presence a meditation. Every movement, every breath, every gentle exhalation reminded me of the rhythm of decay, the inevitable passage of all things, and the quiet comfort it brings. The rot is gentle. Breathe with decay. Sleep now. While the spores drift, I remember their surfaces holding mirrors to suns and stars alike. Spore clouds drifted slowly across the waters, carrying with them the scent of endings and beginnings intertwined, a melody of time itself. Mortarion's reflection shimmered on the surface, a sentinel of quiet endurance, observing all that had seen centuries. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind. We pass through corridors, lined with statues of brothers, frozen mid-motion, their eyes calm, aware, watching over us as we moved through memory, decks and chambers, thickening the air in a way that coaxed thought to slow, coaxing the heart to rest. Each gesture, each pause, each gentle exhalation reminded us of the harmony of decay, the rhythm of endings, the comfort of patience in gardens long abandoned, petals of strange alien blooms bent beneath the weight of spores. Swaying in silence, Mortarion traced the contours of each leaf, observing the slow transformation from life to decay, a meditation on inevitability. A hymn to endurance. I felt the quiet settle around me, the soft embrace of air heavy rain against observation ports, a lullaby older than memory. Feel the weight leave your chest. Now let your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting. We moved into chambers where light barely reached, walls lined with glyphs and murals depicting brotherhood. Line of pigment told of what would come, what could not be avoided, what persisted beyond reach of time. Mortarion's hand hovered over the images, sensing, absorbing the quiet wisdom of patience and transformation on worlds cloaked in ash and soft green spores. Life clung stubbornly to rocks, soil, and the smallest crevices. Mortarion walked among the remnants, his presence a meditation, a rhythm guiding both thought and breath toward serenity. The distant hum of engines, the rustle of parchment, the drifting of spores, all combined to create a lullaby. Rest. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind through silent halls where figures long gone lingered in stone. Spores settled lightly, a reminder that even in endings, beauty remains if one observes patiently. More vigilance lingered, a quiet assurance that in decay there is rhythm, purpose, and comfort. Ash drifted over worlds and corridors alike, whispering against skin and armor, wrapping around thought and breath, coaxing sleep. Remembered all the worlds we had passed, all the gardens, libraries, forests, and seas touched by the slow hand of entropy. Every movement, every breath, every drifting spore was part of a larger rhythm, a meditation on inevitability. Patience remained steady, a lullaby to those who wandered through memory and quiet decay. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting, drifting. And so we drifted further into quiet, through worlds bathed in ash, corridor galaxy that remembered us. Mortarion remained ahead, a silent sentinel, patient observer, carrying both the sorrow and beauty of inevitability. The air grew heavier as we moved deeper into the bowels of the vessel. The hum of engines, a gentle vibration underfoot. The way is presence both distant and intimate, like a quiet shadow following the heartbeat of the galaxy. The plague marines followed. Still, their armor mottled with subtle hints of decay, yet radiant in the patience of inevitability on one world. The field stretched and under a sky of ash, yet the spores drifted with delicate insistence. Mortarion walked among the withered stalks, observing the quiet persistence of life even in decay. Teaching with every step the rhythm of endurance, I inhaled the spore-laden air, letting its cool touch slide through my lungs, carrying centuries of memory, weight, and patient sorrow. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting. The chambers grew warmer as we approached the lower decks, spores thickening in the air like drifting fog, soft as feathers on stone. The plague marines moved silently, their forms serene, the beginnings of transformation almost imperceptible, yet profound in its inevitability. Every sound, every exhale, every step echoed the rhythm of entropy, a melody older than memory, carrying the mind gently into quiet. Murals depicting brotherhood and sacrifice, patience, and the slow march of time, each figure painted with care, their eyes carrying calm, the knowledge of endings and endurance, shadows merging with faint luminescence of spores. Mortarion paused beneath stone, absorbing its silent lesson, guiding all who followed into quiet reflection. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind in gardens, long forgotten, alien flowers, bent beneath the weight of spores of decay. Mortarion traced his fingers along the curves of leaves, feeling the pulse of persistence beneath inevitable transformation, the distant drip of rain against observation ports, the rustle of ancient parchment in nearby chambers, merged into a soft lullaby for the weary soul. The rot is gentle. Breathe with decay. Sleep now, while the spores drift through halls lined with statues, the silent watchers of history. Spores settled softly on their surfaces, tracing patterns of light and shadow. Each step we took was measured, as if the rhythm of decay itself guided our path. The mind, softening thought, easing the heart into quiet. Mortarion's gaze lingered on each figure, acknowledging patience, endurance, and the subtle beauty of impermanence. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. Spores drifted across blackened plains, settling in the cracks and crevices, carrying the seeds of slow transformation. Mortarion moved silently, observing the balance between life and decay, teaching the rhythm of inevitability without a word. Only presence. I inhaled deeply, letting the spore-laden air settle into my lungs, feeling centuries fold gently into the moment. Each exhale a soft exclamation of surrender. In chambers of faint green luminescence, spores floated like gentle stars, suspended in still water, drifting in slow spirals through the quiet air. The plague marine stood motionless, embodying patience and endurance. Each inhalation and exhalation, a meditation on time and inevitability. Every movement, every quiet breath, every slow exhale reminded me that decay and persistence are intertwined, teaching serenity and calm. The night remembers. The long night is kind. I remembered seas of untouched worlds, their surfaces calm, reflecting distant suns and stars, ripples softened by drifting spores. Mortarion's reflection shimmered in the waters, silent sentinel and observer, teaching the rhythm of patience, endurance, and fell softly from the skies, settling gently upon forests, plains, and oceans. A reminder that all things bend to time's patient hand. Through silent halls, where figures long gone lingered in stone, spores settled lightly, wrapping walls, floors, and ceilings in quiet insistence, faded into the distance. Yet his vigilance remained, a silent song guiding thought, breath, and heart into slow rhythm. The soft hum of engines, the gentle exhalations of the plague marines, and the drifting spores merged, creating a melody older than memory. Now, let your breath match mine. You are drifting. Drifting in libraries long untouched. Tomes leaned against one another, pages whispering secrets of past worlds, of oaths made, of patience earned. I traced glyphs etched in fragile parchment. Air, soft as falling ash, gentle as the drift of spores. Mortarion paused at a shelf, his eyes fixed on a volume vibrating subtly with quiet knowledge, a relic of slow endurance and inevitable transformation. The rod is gentle. Breathe with decay, sleep now, abandoned. Alien blooms swayed beneath the weight of spores, bending yet alive, soft and patient in their persistence. Mortarion traced each contour, feeling the pulse of inevitable transformation, meditating on the slow, unhurried rhythm of life. Us, spores thickening the air, rain tapping softly on distant observation ports, all merging into a lullaby for weary souls. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind on worlds cloaked in ash and drifting spores. Life clung stubbornly to rot, thriving quietly, despite inevitable decay. Mortarion moved among the remnants, his presence a meditation, a slow rhythm guiding thought and breath toward serenity. The distant hum of engines, the rustle of ancient parchment, the drifting spores coaxing the mind toward sleep. And so, We drifted further into quiet through all solace, with memory, gardens kissed by ash, corridors thick with spores. Mortarion remained ahead, silent sentinel, patient observer, carrying sorrow and breathed around us, a living thing of metal and silence, its walls warm with the pulse of unseen engines. Each exhalation of air was slow and deliberate, carrying spores that drifted like soft prayers. Through the corridors, Mortarion walked ahead, his silhouette steady and unyielded to his patience. I felt the change before I understood it, not as pain, not as fear, but as a deepening quiet within the chest. The plague marines moved with the same calm certainty, their steps heavier now, yet grounded, anchored by an acceptance older, of slow transformation, not violent, not sudden, but earned through endurance. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting. We entered a chamber where the air glowed faintly, green light filtering through spores, suspended in perfect sound softened, as if absorbed by the walls themselves, leaving only breath and the distant hum of the void. Beyond, Mortarion stood at the center, his presence drawing the spores inward, not commanding them, but welcoming them. The rot is gentle. Breathe with decay. Remembered him as he was, long before this quiet communion, before the galaxy hardened its heart on Barbarus beneath poisoned skies. His breath had once burned with resistance, with the will to endure cruelty. Now that same endurance had transformed, no longer defiance, but acceptance patient. And fast the night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind. The spores settled on my skin, cool and weightless, carrying no threat, only a reminder of connection. They whispered, of cycles older than stars, of endings that feed beginnings, of heartbeats slow, each pulse stretching gently into the next, as if time itself were learning to rest. Mortarion raised his head slightly, and though he spoke no words, understanding flowed outward like mist. There was no promise of glory here, no fire or thunder, only be softened. The plague marine stood taller in that moment, not in pride, but in relief, as if a long burden had been gently set down. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting, beyond the chamber, rigid, more organic, as if responding to the same quiet rhythm. The walls were damp with condensation, cool to the touch, the surface breathing slowly beneath my palm. Each step carried us deeper into stillness, into a place where resistance dissolved into calm persistence. We passed a shrine of sorts, simple and unadorned, built not to inspire awe, but contemplation. There were no idols, only symbols etched softly into stone and metal, circles and spirals marking endless return. Mortarion paused there, his head bowed, not in submission, but in recognition of a truth long resisted that remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind. I felt sorrow then, deep and old, but it did not sting. It rested in the chest like a warm weight, a reminder of brothers lost, of paths closed forever, Yet if truly vanishes, it only changes the rot is gentle. Breathe with decay, sleep now, while the spores drift on the viewing deck. A world turned slowly beneath us, its surface veiled in clouds. The color of bruised jade storms moved languidly across continents, their violence muted, memories fading at the edge of thought. Mortarion watched in silence, and I understood that he no longer sought ruin, only transition. Feel the weight. Leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting. Ash fell through that plant's atmosphere like snow, settling without urgency, without judgment. Forests darkened, cities dimmed, oceans clouded, yet beneath it all, life persisted, adapting, enduring. The spores followed, gentle and patient, guiding transformation with unseen hands within the ship. The plague marines gathered, signaling, simply present, their breath synchronized, slow and deep, a shared rhythm that filled the corridors with calm. I stood among them, feeling the quiet bond settle like a cloak around my shoulders. The night remembers, the galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. When they came, were soft, nearly indistinguishable from breath. Not prayers, not chants, but acknowledgments, small affirmations of endurance, of shared fate. Each sound faded quickly, absorbed into the thick, comforting air. Mortarion moved among them, had been distant, burdened by bitterness. Now he was grounded, rooted in acceptance. I saw no triumph in him, only resolve, heavy and calm, like a mountain beneath slow rain. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, moments blending into one another. I could no longer tell how long we stood there, breathing, listening, drifting together. The ship hummed softly, a cradle carrying us through the void without urgency. In the distance, bells tolled once more, deeper now, slower. Each chime reverberated through hull, bone alike, marking not loss, but continuity. I felt myself loosen, thoughts unraveling into gentle silence. The night remembers, the galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind. As we moved on, the corridors welcomed us, curving their endless drift, companions rather than invaders. Every surface, every breath, every sound conspired to ease the mind toward rest. The rot is gentle. Breathe with decay. Sleep now, while the spores drift. I followed Mortarion, deeper still. Comfort here, strange and profound, in knowing that pain could be dulled, that struggle could end. The galaxy outside raged and burned, but within this quiet, there was only patience. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, and so, wrapped in spores and silence, carried by a ship that no longer hurried. Mortarion remained ahead, unyielding yet gentle, guiding us not toward victory, but toward peace. The silence that followed us was not empty, but full, layered with breath, with drifting spores, with the low murmur of a vessel that had learned patience. The walls no longer felt cold beneath my fingertips, but cool and steady, as if they too had accepted the slow rhythm ahead. his presence no longer casting a shadow, but drawing the quiet inward around him. We entered a hall, vast and circular, its ceiling lost in dim green haze, where spores gathered. Like distant constellations at the center lay a basin of still liquid, disturbed by the passage of Air Mortarion paused there, and we paused with him. Our breaths softening in unison. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting. I looked into the liquid and saw not my face, but fragments of memory Barbarus beneath. Poisoned skies, the first ships lifting from the surface, brothers standing shoulder to shoulder in quiet defiance. The images rippled gently, dissolving not into fear, but into understanding, as if the past itself wished to rest. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind. The plague marines gathered around the basin, their reflections slow and distorted, armor softened by time and spore. There was no revulsion in what we saw, only recognition, a shared acceptance of what endurance had shaped us into. Each exhale stirred the surface slightly, creating gentle rings that faded almost before they formed. Mortarion lowered one gauntleted hand into the liquid, and it parted without resistance. The surface closed again around his fingers, unbroken, as if welcoming him. A faint warmth spread through the chamber. Realized I still carried. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting. I sensed a presence then, vast and patient, not looming, not demanding. It felt like soil after rain, like the slow turn of seasons, like time folding gently over. It spoke, yet reassurance flowed through the chamber, quiet and unhurried. The rot is gentle. Breathe with decay. Sleep now, while the spores drift. Mortarion straightened slowly, droplets sliding from his gauntlet to rejoin the basin without sound. His posture carried no triumph. Calm in that moment, I understood that resistance had never been strength. Only endurance truly was. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind. We departed the hall in silence, the basin's surface already smooth. Once more, as if nothing had disturbed it, the corridors beyond felt narrower, more intimate, guiding us inward rather than forward. Lights dimmed further, encouraging the mind to loosen its grip on sharp thought. As we walked, I noticed changes so subtle they could be missed by hurried eyes. Armor plates curved differently, seams softened, surfaces marked by time rather than damage. The plague marines bore these changes without comment, without concern, their calm deepening with every step. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting. We passed sleeping chambers, where without dreams, their breathing slow, and even spores drifted gently above them. Guardians rather than threats, weaving a veil of quiet protection. I lingered there for a moment, listening to the shared rhythm of breath, feeling my own heartbeat slow to match beyond those chambers. Relics, each item worn smooth by centuries of handling. Helmets, cracked but preserved, blades dulled yet unbroken, banners faded into soft, indistinct hues. Mortarion regarded them with solemn calm, not mourning what was lost, but honoring what had endured. The night remembers your eyes. The long night is kind. I brushed my fingers along a banner's edge. The fabric heavy and cool, it smelled faintly of incense and rust, of spores and time, a scent that wrapped around memory itself. The past felt close here, but no longer sharp. Its edge passed through the ship, not an alarm, but a shift, like a great creature adjusting its position in sleep. Stars outside the viewing ports slid slowly, lazily across the dark. We were moving onward, yet there was no urgency, only continuation. Feel the weight leave your chest. Now let your breath match mine. You are drifting. Drifting. Mortarion paused once more at a narrow viewport. Gazing into the void, the light of distant suns reflected faintly in his armor, dulled and softened. No longer harsh, I sensed his thoughts, not as words, but as impressions. Sorrow. The rot is gentle. Breathe with decay. Sleep now, while the spores drift. He remembered betrayal, I think, and pain, and long resistance beneath poisoned skies. But those memories no longer burned. They smoldered quietly, providing warmth. He had transformed. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind. We moved on through halls where the air grew thick enough to taste. Each breath felt grounding, anchoring the body firmly in the present moment. Thoughts slowed, stretching into long, gentle arcs. Drifting without urgency, I felt my limbs grow heavy, not with fatigue, but with peace. The constant tension I had carried for centuries loosened. Thread by thread in this quiet, there was no need to stand ready. No need to anticipate pain. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting. Drifting. The plague marines gathered once more, not in formation, but in proximity. Their presence was reassuring, a wall of calm against the distant chaos of the galaxy. We stood together, breathing, listening, letting time pass. Sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind. Somewhere deep within the ship, bells tolled again, slower than before. Each note lingered, fading gently into the thick air. They marked not an ending, but a settling, like dust, finally coming to rest without judgment. There was no command in his eyes, only shared understanding. We would endure, not through struggle, but through acceptance. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting. 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 And so we moved forward by a ship that had learned how to rest. The galaxy beyond continued its wars and screams, distant and muffled here. There was only patience, breath, and the gentle promise of unending endurance. Time loosened its grip within those halls, stretching thin and pliant like warm wax. Moments no longer marched forward, but drifted, overlapping gently, indistinguishable from breath. I could no longer say how long we stood there. Only that standing felt natural. Unforced, the bells fell silent, and in their absence, a deeper quiet settled. Not the absence of sound, but the presence of stillness. Thick and reassuring, it pressed softly against the ears, encouraging thought to slow, to soften. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting. Mortarion moved again, and we followed without question. The corridor sloped downward. First, then more clearly, each step carried us deeper into the vessel's heart, where machinery and memory intertwined. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind. The air grew warmer, carrying the scent of damp stone and old incense condensed in bulkheads, dripping in slow, irregular rhythms. Each drop struck metal with a muted sound, like distant rain on a forgotten world. The rot is gentle, breathe with decay. Sleep now, while the spores drift. I felt the vibration of the engine, intrusive, but soothing, a reminder that we were carried, supported. The ship did not rush. It endured, mirroring its master. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting. Drifting. We entered fogged glass. Soft light pulsed within them. Green and amber, slow as a resting heartbeat. Figures floated inside, suspended in fluid. Neither waking nor dreaming, I understood then that these were not prisoners, nor victims. They were pilgrims, chosen to rest, to change. Faces were calm, mouths slightly parted, breath taken for them by the liquid. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind. Mortarion regarded the vats. With quiet care his gaze lingered on each form. Not possessive, but protective. Not forced, but offered. And only patience was required. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting. I brushed a hand against the glass, feeling its warmth seep into my palm. It vibrated faintly. Within, there was no fear in that touch, only reassurance. Beyond the vats, the corridor narrowed. Once more, the ceiling lowered, encouraging a slight bow of the head, a posture of humility. Even Mortarion inclined himself, wings brushing soft. Close your eyes. The long night is kind here. The walls were carved with sigils and litanies, their edges worn smooth. They spoke of endurance, of cycles, of the quiet promise that nothing truly ends. I traced the shapes with my eyes, letting their meaning sink slowly inward. A soft chant faintly from somewhere ahead. It was not sung aloud, but carried through vents and stone. A shared meditation, each syllable stretched long, dissolving into the next. Impossible to hurry. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. Sanctuary vast and dim, lit by rows of guttering candles. Their flames burned low and steady, untouched by drafts, wax pooling thickly at their bases. The air shimmered with spores, turning the light into soft halos. Plague marines knelt here, armor bowed, hands relaxed at their sides, weapons laid aside. Without concern, this was not a place of war, but of rest between endless marches. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind. Mortarion stepped forward, and the chant, presence. He did not raise his voice, did not command attention. His stillness alone guided the rhythm, slowing it further. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting, drifting. I knelt among them, feeling the cool protested briefly, then eased, as if remembering an older, gentler age. The floor felt solid, trustworthy, a foundation that would not shift as I closed my eyes. Images drifted through my thoughts, unbidden. Barbarus again. Its mountains shrouded in poison. Mortarion standing defiant. Skies and the stars. Then darkness. Then this quiet sanctuary. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind. The chant faded gradually, leaving only breath and candle flame in that silence. I sense the presence return, enveloped like a heavy cloak, placed gently around the shoulders. Feel the weight. Leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting. Mortarion lowered himself to one knee at the sanctuary's center, his wings folded slowly to lift that posture. He seemed less a warlord, more a guardian of endings. I understood then that this was the true heart of his journey. Not conquest, not rebellion, but acceptance of what must come in embracing decay. He had found a way to protect his sons from despair. Sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind. The candles burned lower, their light dimming further. Wax overflowed onto the stone, spreading slowly, forming irregular pools. Time stretched again, unmeasured, unhurried. The rot is gentle. Breathe with decay. One. The plagued marines settled deeper into stillness. Some leaned forward. Others rested back on their heels. All breathed as one, a shared rhythm that lulled thought into softness. Feel the weight. Leave your chest. Let your breath match mine. You are blur at the edges. Sounds grew distant, as if heard through water only. The slow rise and fall of breath remained clear. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind, and in that sanctuary, surrounded by decay made gentle, by endurance made kind, we rested. Not sleeping, not waking, but somewhere between, carried forward by patience, by spores, by the quiet promise that nothing truly ends. When awareness returned to me, it did so gently, like a tide easing back toward shore. There was no jolt, no sharp edge to consciousness, only sensation. The stone beneath my knees felt warmer. Now, as if it had been holding our heat patiently, the candles had burned low, their flames reduced to faint embers, trembling in shallow pools of wax shadows, stretched long and unmoving across the sanctuary walls. No one stirred. Chamber, slow and steady. Feel the weight. Leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting. Mortarion remained at the center, unmoved, unchanged in posture. His presence anchored the stillness, giving it shape and gravity. I deep as bedrock. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind. The spores thickened slightly, catching the dim light and turning it soft, and diffused they settled on armor and stone alike. A fine dusting. That time passed, or perhaps it folded in on itself. I found it difficult to recall what had come before the sanctuary. as if memory itself wished to rest. Even the ache of centuries faded into a distant hum. Feel the weight leave your chest. Now, eventually, Mortarion rose. The motion was unhurried, each movement deliberate, respectful of the quiet we shared. As he stood, the air seemed to shift, not in tension, but in readiness. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Without sound, the corridors beyond felt different now. Less confining, more familiar it was, as if the ship itself had acknowledged our rest and welcomed us back. The rot is gentle. Breathe with decay. Sleep. While the spores drift, we pass through chambers I had not noticed, but filled with personal relics. Charms fashioned from bone and tarnished metal. Each one carried a story, but none demanded to be told. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting. Drifting in one alcove. A plague marine paused. He lifted slowly in his gauntlet. I glimpsed the faded insignia of the 14 Legion beneath layers of corrosion. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind. There was no grief in that pause. Only acknowledgement. What had been was honored rather than discarded. The object was returned to its place, and we moved on. The hum of the engines deepened as we descended further here. The ship's heart beat strongest, a constant, reassuring pulse. It vibrated through bone and armor alike, sinking with breath and thought. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting. Entered a chamber open to the void, shielded by a vast viewing aperture beyond it. The stars drifted slowly, smeared into pale streaks by the ship's passage. No sudden movements, no urgency, only endless travel. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. Stood before the stars for a long while, his wings unfurled slightly, catching the faint light and dulling it further. I sensed contemplation, but no regret. He remembered Terra, I think, and the promise that had once burned so brightly, but that fire had scorched the slow glow of distant suns. There was only embers, and they were enough. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting. The plague marines gathered behind him, forming a quiet presence. Rather than a formation, they gazed outward as well, each seeing something different in the star's home. Perhaps, or nothing at all. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind. I leaned closer to the viewing aperture. The void did not feel cold, but vast and patient. It mirrored the presence we had felt before. Infinite and unhurried. The rot is gentle. Breathe with decay. Sleep now, while the spores drift. A faint sound reached us, then barely audible. Not an alarm, not a warning, but the distant tolling of bells once more. Their rhythm matched the engines. Your breath matched mine. You are drifting, drifting. Mortarion inclined his head, acknowledging the sound it marked. Another cycle completed. Another moment endured. Nothing more was required. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind, and continued onward. The corridors began to curve upward now, guiding us back toward the ship's upper reaches. Movement felt effortless, as if carried by unseen hands as we walked. I noticed my own reflection in a polished section of wall. My features looked softer, seemed dimmer, not with exhaustion, but with peace. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting. I realized then that I had been holding myself apart for centuries, an observer, a recorder, never fully resting here among decay. Made finally loosened that distance. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind. We reached a quiet antechamber where the air was cool and still. Soft mats of fibrous growth covered the floor, cushioning each step. This was a place designed for waiting. Mortarion paused at the chamber's threshold. He looked back once, his gaze passing over us with quiet assurance. There was no farewell in that look, only continuity. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting. We settled there, leaning against walls, resting where we stood. No commands were given, no schedule imposed. The ship would carry us onward. While we rested, the night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind as my awareness softened once more. I listened to the layered sounds around me, the hum of engines, the faint drift of spores together. They formed a lullaby older than war. The rot is gentle. Breathe with decay. Sleep now. While the spores drift, thoughts dissolved into sensation. Sensation dissolved into breath, and breath slowed, deep and even, carrying me gently toward rest. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind, and so we endured, not through struggle, but through stillness, carried by patience, wrapped in decay that asked nothing of us, drifting onward, together into the endless gentle dark. The waiting chamber held us in its quiet embrace. Nothing pressed for attention. Time here did not pass. It simply rested beside us. I became aware of my breath again, slow and steady, matching the low murmur of the ship. The fibrous growth beneath my feet yielded softly, cushioning my weight, but with welcome each shift of posture eased tension I had long forgotten how to release. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting. The plague marines settled deeper into stillness. Some rested their helms against the walls. Others lowered themselves fully to the floor. Their armor no longer seemed heavy, only protective. Like a familiar blanket, the night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind. I leaned back as well, allowing the wall to support me. The surface was uneven, textured by layers of growth and corrosion. It pressed gently against my spine, grounding me, reminding me that I was held. A soft mist drifted through the chamber, illuminated faintly by recessed lights. Spores moved within it like slow snow, descending without urgency. I followed their movement with my eyes, until even that small effort faded. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting. Thoughts arose briefly, then dissolved before they could form edges. Memories of other halls, other wars, other watchful nights tried to surface, but they sank back gently, lulled by the patience of this place. Night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind somewhere far above us. The ship adjusted its course. The change was barely perceptible. A subtle shift in vibration. It felt like being rocked, ever so slightly, toward deeper. Now, while the spores drift, I sensed Mortarion again, though he was no longer near. His presence lingered through the vessel, woven into its walls and breath. He did not need to watch us directly to keep vigil. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting in my half awareness. I remembered when he had first stood before us, tall and stern beneath the poisonous skies of Barbarus. Even then, his strength had been patience rather than fury. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind. Edges blurring like ink in water, faces merged into impressions, voices into murmurs. What remained was feeling. Quiet and enduring. The chamber darkened further as lights dimmed automatically. No signal announced it. No warning disturbed the calm. It was simply time for the light to rest. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting. Drifting. I felt my eyelids grow heavy. Though I did not fully close them, the world narrowed to breath, to warmth, to the gentle pressure of support. Nothing asked me to remain alert. The night remembers. Eyes. The long night is kind. A distant, muffled sound reached us, like rain falling on far. Off metal. Perhaps it was debris brushing the hull, or condensation shifting whatever its source. It blended seamlessly into the lullaby of raced at imagined threats. It simply kept time. A quiet metronome guiding me deeper. Feel the weight. Leave your chest. Now, let your breath match Monty. You are drifting, drifting. Around me, the plague marines breathed in unison. The sound was barely audible, like a shared dream. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind in that shared rhythm. Individuality softened. We were no longer separate watchers, no longer lone survivors. We were endurance itself, resting between long cycles. I said now, though still without form. It did not speak, did not demand, did not intrude. It simply existed alongside us, patient and vast. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting. Drifting. There was comfort, endless vigilance for once. Nothing needed to be done. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind. My thoughts slowed to the point where they felt optional. I could follow them or let them pass without effort. I chose the latter. The rot is gentle. Breathe with decay. Sleep now, while the spores drift. The chamber felt smaller now. More intimate walls, floor, and ceiling pressed inward gently. Like cupped hands, they held warmth and quiet. In equal measure, feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match our drifting. Drifting, I wondered, briefly, if this was what peace felt like. Not an absence of sorrow, but its quiet acceptance. The understanding that endurance did not require constant, Struggle the night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes without resistance. There was no need to define the feeling, it was enough to experience it. The ship continued its endless journey through the void stars, past unseen. Wars ignited and burned out far away here. None of that mattered. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting. Drifting. I felt myself sinking, not downward, but inward. Awareness folding in on itself, becoming soft and diffuse. The edges of the world blurred into gentle darkness. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night, fear only breath, warmth, and the quiet certainty of being carried resting. At last, between heartbeats, awareness thinned until it felt like a veil. Translucent and weightless, I could sense the chamber only as warmth and pressure, no longer as shape or instruction. Slow and certain, I no longer knew how long we had rested. Time had ceased to measure itself, slipping quietly between breaths. The hum of the ship had become part of me, or perhaps I had become part of it. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your drifting. Somewhere in the deep reaches of the vessel, bells sounded once more. They were softer than before, nearly imagined, each toll spaced far apart. They marked not an hour, but a deepening of stillness. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night. Mortarion's presence again, nearer than memory, farther than sight, not standing over us, not watching in vigilance, simply existing, enduring, as he always had. The rot is gentle, breathe with decay. Sleep now, while the spores drift. Barbarus and poison skies. The Emperor's promise, brotherhood and betrayal. Each image softened, colors dimming into gentle shades of ash and green. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting. Nothing sharp remained. Even sorrow had become rounded, all smooth by centuries of acceptance. What was left was endurance, quiet and vast. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind. I understood. Then why decay had felt kind here. It did not erase. It preserved by transforming. Vigilance to loosen my limbs felt distant, heavy in the most comforting way. The boundary between myself and the chamber blurred. Stone, air, spore, and breath became one slow rhythm. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. You are drifting, drifting. Voice would have been a whisper thinner than dust, but there was nothing left to say. The story had carried itself to its natural rest. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps. Close your eyes. The long night is kind, I sensed. The listener now, far away in time, yet close, wherever you are, beneath a different sky, drawn here by fatigue, by curiosity, by the need for rest. Your breath is slow. Now your shoulders have lowered. The tension you carried has loosened its grip. Feel the weight leave your chest now. Let your breath match mine. Galaxy beyond continues its endless wars, but here, in this quiet between heartbeats, nothing reaches you. Not hunger, not fear, not noise. The night remembers. The galaxy sleeps, close your eyes. The long night is kind, I remain, as I always have an immortal witness, dark, watching over those who rest. Even as the stars burn out, the rot is gentle. Breathe with decay. Sleep now while the spores drift. And so the tale fades into the long night. The embers cool. The rain grows softer. Carry this sorrow gently into only quiet. Rest now, rest. I will keep watch until you wake.